Hey guys, it's your girl Alicia, aka Geek XX Chic, and I'm back with another review to The Walking Dead. I am reviewing the latest episode, which is episode 12, which was called The Key. And this episode was fun. This was a fun episode. This is the kind of fun that I like about The Walking Dead that we really haven't had in a while, which is understandable because, as we all know, The Walking Dead had a very somber note the last couple of episodes, so we kind of weren't able to have more of those kind of fun and engaging episodes so much as the somber and reflective episodes. But this one, we got back to some of the fun. We got back to seeing some characteristics, particularly in Rick, that I have missed, and one of the reasons why I love his character so much. And so quite a bit went on in this episode as far as some of the dynamics within people, especially on Negan's side. And also some great moments with Michonne and some of the people at the Hilltop, particularly Maggie, who, you know, due to her isolation from the group for a while now, I think she definitely needed a little bit of support. And it was kind of great to see that happen. But we're going to go through all that. I got some notes here, and I'm just going to go cruising through what I found pretty interesting in this episode. First off, the whole stuff with Simon. Right from the beginning of the episode, seeing him with the look on his face like, I cannot believe I am sitting out here in this heat, digging around in stinky walker guts, because this man, you know, because Negan wasn't doing that. He's like, I'm a general and I'm out here doing grunt work for what? Right? You know, Simon snapped. There's really no other word for it. Like, he's just gone from somebody who, I guess, kind of somewhat enjoyed intimidating people to really having a bloodlust. He's got no remorse over Jadis's people, and he's just ready to go up and kill everybody in Hilltop if he can. You know, knowing that there are children in there, knowing that there are women in there. It makes me wonder if potentially Simon was part of the group that went and killed all the men and children at Oceanside. Because from what we've seen of Negan, like, he is not a great person. Like, Negan definitely has to die at some point. There's no doubt about that. However, Negan does have a code. And Negan, from what we've seen, he is not about killing children, and he's not about killing women if he can help it. It's really a last resort. Like, men, definitely expendable to him. But when it comes to kids, he would never sanction something like that. So I think maybe it might have been Simon, or again, we had a couple of other road crews of Negan's. But I wouldn't be surprised now, seeing the way Simon's acting, that maybe he would have been responsible for something like that. But yeah, Simon's gone off the rails. We can write him off. He is nuts. And he's sick of it. He's done taking orders. He doesn't like the way things are going. And because Negan does not rule with respect and with any type of care, he just rules through fear. Well, we've seen that what Rick and his group have done, as I mentioned a couple reviews ago, is they've shaken the idea that Negan is infallible. Like, all these douchebags, all these scumbags, all these terrible, violent people who Negan manages to corral, it's been done based on the idea that Negan was kind of someone they could never beat. That Negan was someone that was so fear-inspiring that they wouldn't dare go against him. But Rick and his group, constantly bucking up against everything that Negan comes at them with, has shaken that belief system within his own group. So we're starting to see it implode. More and more people are starting to question whether or not he should be leading. And of course, Simon's the one who's first been bold enough to actually say it out loud. And so I knew as soon as he took Dwight, I knew that that was not a Negan order, by the way, because Negan could care less if Dwight went on a bike or walked to Hilltop. But I knew as soon as I saw that Simon's recruiting. He wants people to back him in his new order. So, yeah, it was kind of funny. I found it really great in this episode. They had a lot of fun with some of the messaging in it. Like, when they were both looking for Negan, and not having the whole group go out and look for Negan. The fact that both of them were actually working the same agenda, like, not for the same reasons, but that they were doing it and not even realizing they were helping each other was great. Simon obviously wanting Negan to be killed for his own reasons, and Dwight, because he's like, yeah, I don't want them to find Rick, right? So I really thought that was cool that they were both working together without even realizing they were working together on that one. And then with Dwight, I mean, I know some people are probably going to be upset about the fact that he accepted Simon's deal and didn't continue to look for Negan and Rick, but there was really not a good, like, there was no win for Dwight in that situation, right? Because if they found Negan, that doesn't help his cause, because he didn't want to go up to Hilltop anyways. But also, there was the risk that Rick would be found and Simon would have tried to kill Rick on sight. It was quite a predicament for Dwight, and I think he made the best decision he could without, waving too many, without making too many waves. But as he's now seeing, he had no idea that Simon's plan was to go up to Hilltop and actually kill everybody rather than just hurt a few people. So clearly that's not going to rest well, and so this has put Dwight in a whole new predicament of figuring out how he's either going to have to try to warn Hilltop or somehow derail all the Saviors. I don't know how he's going to do it. I really don't. I was really hoping, my God, can you believe this is an episode where I was hoping Negan would show up, because that was the only way to stop this from going sideways, especially now that Negan knows that Simon disobeyed him. And I'm so glad that came out. I'm so glad it came out. Oh, the tea spilling was beautiful. I only wish that Rick could have seen Negan's face, because it would have been even more satisfying for him to know that he knew something that Negan didn't. But anyways, that was basically kind of what was going on with the whole Simon thing. Unfortunately, I'm thinking for the sake of drama, we are going to get Simon all the way to Hilltop. What'll happen in the meantime, I don't know. And yeah, I don't know what Dwight's going to do. Really, I'm out of ideas. I really don't know how he's going to be able to pull this off without finally fully incriminating himself against the Saviors. Hilltop. We'll talk about that because it was kind of the shorter storyline as well. It was very interesting to see. I think the whole thing that we really saw at Hilltop was, Maggie and by extension Enid kind of getting to this place of being where Michonne was just like last season, right? Like, or early this season before, where Tara is right now, where Daryl was. Just this idea that we just got to win this war. Doesn't matter how, doesn't matter who we kill, doesn't matter about casualties or what's the word, that, any collateral damage. We just need to do what we need to do. And Michonne, who I love the fact that she's really, really being affected by Carl's letter. Like, we already saw that she was, the fact that she turned back from the whole Negan plan that Tara and Daryl had kind of showed that she was already not on board with this whole thing. But I think Carl's death and, of course, the letters that he wrote really reinforced to her that this isn't what she's about. We all know that Michonne is like the most lethal woman in that group. And she's like, nah, like, we could just keep killing, but when does it end? Not everybody out there is a threat. Not everybody out there needs to die. And again, people like Maggie and, of course, Enid and all these other, and Tara, they keep forgetting that not all of Negan's people wanted to be there. That they, just like earlier, just like last year when they were under Negan's boot, these people had the same thing happen to them. Negan usually just came, showed up, consumed them, gave them the option of either doing what he says or being murdered. They did what they needed to do to survive. So to just punish them, especially the people who were the workers or whatever, the majority of them are just women and children and people who are either too sick or not strong enough to work. And so you want to kill them? They just get to die because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time? Like, that's not fair. So I really love that Michonne got to be the leveling agent, because that's how she was. It's who she is for Rick, right? That's one thing I love about Michonne's character. She's always the grounding person. She's the one who brings, order to the chaos, particularly because she's got some really emotional people around her, And so I really love that she kind of got to be a counsel to Maggie, because I get it. I mentioned in the last episode, review, I feel for Maggie. This is crazy. Like, the pressure that's on her, these people are hungry. She's got these saviors she didn't ask for that she's got to worry about. She knows that this attack is coming and they don't have enough weapons or enough people really to fight it. She's got babies, 2 sitting on the couch outside her office, 1 in her belly. Like, there's a lot going on with Maggie, and I completely get how she's just like, well, what do I do? What do I do? Maybe I need to toughen up. Maybe I need to get hard in this war. It's the only way we're gonna win. But I love that she has someone to kind of, because before Glenn was that person for Maggie, right? Glenn was the person who could be, he was that level, calm person who could take Maggie kind of out of that fiery mode and be like, okay, I see where you're coming from, but like, let's look at this too. And I love, you know, the way Michonne dealt with all of them, with Enid, with Maggie. I mean, Enid kind of needed a little bit of a smack upside the head. She's getting a little big for her britches at the moment. But, I mean, my Lord, I love that moment when Michonne was like, step back, Enid. Like, girl, if you do not get out my face, perhaps you've never seen me work this katana, girl. I can work the blunt end too, right? Don't come at me. But yeah, I love that she just kind of dealt with, you know, these two really strong personalities. You can tell, and I love too when she was talking to Maggie and saying, you know, yeah, Rick's might be a little ticked about the fact that we went out there and went on this little adventure, but he'll come around because my baby knows he knows I'm right. Okay, Michonne knows how to handle her man. But again, she was right. Michonne was absolutely right in that risk that she took. I mean, those people were weird. I mean, again, plot bunnies, but those people were kind of weird to actually believe that they'd made it this far, this long, being Tweedledum and Tweedledummer, and then this weird professor-looking girl who, how are her clothes so clean and pressed this far into the apocalypse? But anyway, we'll take it. But it turned out, you know, that they had food. They had something that was useful, and I love that Michonne's advice of instead of being, you know, mean and taking their things and, you know, being like the saviors, why not try a different tack? Why don't we show that we're actually the good guys by proving it? Let's extend a little faith and see what happens. And sure enough, they ended up getting food. I mean, they were going to take it, but the fact that, you know, this woman was astute enough to notice that obviously Maggie's people needed food more than she did. And like she said, I'll be back. Like, I'll get money. I'll find food. I only have to find food for 3 of us. You're trying to feed like 100 people. You know, I'll be back. And here's this manual with all this infrastructure and stuff. Basically, she's replacing, what was his name, Greg? Deanna's husband. Here's all the infrastructure you'll need for the future. Plot magic. So, yeah, that was just, I mean, I guess we needed some stuff for the future. But again, I feel like the whole reason for that plot arc was really for Maggie to take a step back and to refocus on what she's really doing there as a leader. And also just to kind of have, you know, Michonne kind of put out there that while this war, as far as fighting the saviors, is necessary to some degree, there has to be an end point. There has to be a line that they're not willing to cross. Otherwise, how are they any different? So that was a really cool little storyline. And again, I just really love that Michonne got a chance to shine as usual. Now on to the meat. Whew. Rick versus Negan. Part 2. This is the second face-off that Rick and Negan have had where they went at it physically and verbally. Mostly because Negan doesn't shut the hell up. It's just in his nature, and I love that. It's one of my favorite things when the first time they had their fight in the house when Rick was like, don't you ever shut up? And Negan was like, nope. Talking's my thing. That's how it got me this far. So, yeah, I kind of knew that was happening. As soon as I saw that Rick was like, I'm going out on patrol by myself, when I still got my eyes all glassy and red from crying over Carl, there's no way. Like, I'm like, nope. And then I saw Negan get into a car by himself. I was like, okay, yeah, no, these two are definitely going to get into it this episode. And yeah, I knew that there was no way that Rick was going to do the right thing and warn people that the Saviors were coming. No, instead, he went off, basically risking the entire camp back at Hilltop to get his revenge on Negan. Now, while I get it, and it was very edifying to see Negan get a little banged up, it was not smart. It was a very selfish move, very Tara and Daryl-esque, and Rosita-esque, and Sasha-esque of him to go off and do that. You know, again, disregarding the group for his own personal revenge. But in light of the recent loss and who it was, I can give Rick a pass. And also because it was great to watch him just screw with him so hard in this episode. God, that was glorious. That was my favorite part, honest to God. I mean, the fighting was minimal, but oh my God, you guys. Rick threw a freaking axe at his head and missed. Did you see Negan all but yelped like a little girl? It was so good. So good. Oh, that's probably my favorite moment of the entire season right there. Oh my Lord. And the fact that Rick was just slow walking, whistling, drawing it out like... Here Negan probably thought that Rick hasn't been paying attention all this time. Rick not only paying attention, took notes, and turned around and taught the teacher. Okay, like what? That was crazy. That was crazy. That whole scenario with Rick just turning Negan's tactics on him was hilarious and fun to watch for us. Obviously, they don't work as much on Negan because Negan, it's his thing. But it was great to see Negan genuinely scared. Because you know it's been a while. Like, he got a little shook when Rick was shooting at him at the sanctuary, but this was different. Like, you can tell he was like, I haven't got my bat, I haven't got my people. That was the most vulnerable that Negan has ever been, was in that broken down, whatever that place was. Seeing just Rick, I miss, like, that's my favorite version of Rick. Not so much torturing people, but that cocky, self-assured, badass. Like, we haven't seen that Rick really since like season 4, season 5, and I kind of missed him. Like, that's the part that makes you remember that is Rick frickin' Grimes, right? And man, if Negan did not know his name before, he knows it now. I love that Rick got a chance to hold Lucille and like rock her around and just burned her and just beat her up and beat Negan a few times with it. Like, it was just great. It was a great stress relieving moment for Rick, if nothing else, even though Negan didn't get dead, which was ultimately what should have been his goal. We all know that Rick didn't want it to be quick. You know, Rick really wanted to hurt him. He really wanted to get in his head and mess with him the way that Rick's been doing, or sorry, that Negan's been doing it to him for the past, you know, while now. So it was very satisfying to see Rick get that moment. It was played beautifully. I mean, you get Andy and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and they're just such strong actors, and they just obviously fed off each other so well in that scene, and it was just great. It was great. I could have watched that the entire episode, to be perfectly honest. It was super fun. But yeah, now we see that Negan's in a world of trouble. Well, not really, but kinda, because he's injured, and Jadis is pissed. Jadis is pissed! And she's got nothing to lose now. She really has nothing left to lose. So, I mean, I don't think it's gonna go too badly. Obviously, Negan, thanks to Rick, now knows what Simon did, so he's obviously gonna do his best to try to manipulate that to his advantage and let Jadis know that it was not his plan to do that. Will he be able to pull Jadis to his side? That'll be the question. My guess is probably yes. I know some of you in, not my last review, but the one before where Rick left Jadis behind, a lot of people were like, that's going to turn around and bite Rick in the ass. Well, that might be the truth now, because now, God knows, we're probably going to have a whole episode of the Jadis and Negan roadshow, and that's a lot of time for Negan to spin his little word games and try to recruit her to his side. And I mean, we don't know what Jadis is capable of, to be perfectly honest. We really don't know what she's capable of, especially now, as I said, that she's got nothing to lose. So that'll be potentially an interesting arc going into the end of the season. But that basically brings us to the end of the episode. Like I said, I thought it was pretty good. Plot-wise, it's still kind of like a B minus. We didn't really move too much forward with the actual overall plot of the war, but it was just really kind of fun, as I said, to see Rick and Negan go at it again. And not to mention, as I said, I'm just happy we got to see more of Michonne and Denai. You know, she's been very absent for most of the season, and we know why. She was busy making them coins with Black Panther and Avengers. So I ain't mad at her, but it was really nice to see her again back in this role that introduced all of us to the greatness that she is. So what did you guys think of this episode? Did you love that fight between Rick and Negan? And do you think that Rick was a little out of line? Do you think he should have just held it together and just went back to the hilltop? And also, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Like, how do you really think that Maggie and the group are going to handle all these saviors showing up thinking that Rick killed Negan? Please leave your comments below. Let me know what you think is going on here and how we're going to get out of this one. And if you like this video, guys, please click like. And if you want to see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time, see ya.